ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans from around the globe, and the millions of you watching from the Philippines who have been waiting for this moment, welcome back. Today, we are not just talking about a match. We are not just talking about forehands, backhands, or break points. We are talking about a cultural phenomenon. We are talking about a moment in sporting history where the tectonic plates of the tennis world didn't just shift, they shattered. You have seen the headlines. You have seen the viral clips flooding your feeds. Crowd frenzy, shockwaves, history. But none of those words, none of them, truly capture the electricity that has just pulsed through the WTA Tour. We are talking, of course, about the relentless, meteoric, and absolutely terrifying rise of Alexandra Eala. The pride of the Philippines has not just arrived. She has kicked the door down, walked into the living room of the tennis elite, and demanded a seat at the head of the table. And the catalyst for this conversation? A showdown that will be replayed in coaching clinics and highlight reels for decades. A clash against the American powerhouse. The world number 6, the billionaire daughter with the laser-focused baseline game, Jessica Pegula. But this video isn't just about the scoreline. If you think this is just a match report, click away now. This is an investigation. Because what happened between Eala and Pegula was not normal. The atmosphere was not normal. The intensity was not normal. We witnessed a crowd frenzy that veterans of the sport are comparing to the Davis Cup atmospheres of the 90s or the peak mania of the Big Three era. We saw a stadium packed to the rafters, lines wrapping around the block, a sea of flags, and a decibel level that threatened to blow the roof off the arena. And in the eye of the storm stood a teenager. A teenager who had already dismantled Grand Slam champions. A teenager who looked across the net at one of the most consistent players on the planet and didn't blink. And what did Jessica Pegula, one of the most composed, stoic, and professional figures in our sport, have to say after surviving this onslaught? Her confession in the post-match interview is a key to unlocking this entire story. It wasn't just praise, it was an admission that the hierarchy of women's tennis is under siege. I am so tired. Those were the words. But the subtext was much louder. I have seen the future, and it is left-handed, it is fearless, and it is wearing the Philippine flag. In this extensive deep dive, we are going to peel back the layers of this encounter. We are going to analyze the tactical warfare, the lefty spin versus the flat power. We are going to break down the psychological battle, how Eala recovered from a devastating first-set collapse to drag a top 10 player into deep waters. We're going to look at the Eala mania effect, why this isn't just about tennis, but about national pride and the global diaspora rallying behind a new icon. And finally, we will dissect Pegula's comments to understand exactly what they mean for the rest of the tour. Is Alex Eala a flash in the pan? Or did we just witness the birth of the next global superstar? Buckle up, grab your coffee, settle in, because we are about to dissect the match that shocked the world. This is the Alex Eala versus Jessica Pegula deep dive. Let's go. To understand the magnitude of this collision, we first have to set the stage. Context is everything in tennis. You cannot appreciate the heat of the fire if you don't understand how the wood was stacked. Let's rewind. Leading up to this encounter, Alex Eala was already writing a script that Hollywood would reject for being too unrealistic. We are talking about a player ranked outside the top 100, a wild card entry, someone who, on paper, was supposed to be experienced fodder for the seeds. But Eala didn't read that script. Her run to this match was a graveyard of giants. We need to remind ourselves who she took out to get here. This wasn't a soft draw. This wasn't a series of walkovers. This was a gauntlet. She took down Madison Keys, a player with one of the heaviest balls on tour. She dismantled Elena Ostapenko, a former French Open champion known for hitting opponents off the court. And, perhaps most shockingly, she stunned the world number 2, Iga Swiatek, in a match that signaled to the entire locker room that Eala's forehand is a weapon of mass destruction. So when she walked on a court to face Jessica Pegula, Eala wasn't just a hopeful underdog. She was a giant killer in form. On the other side of the net, we had Jessica Pegula. Now, let's give credit where it is due. Pegula is the ultimate professional. She is the tour's leveler. She doesn't have the flashy game of a Sabalenka or the variety of a Jabber, but she plays with a suffocating consistency. She hits flat, hard, and low. She takes time away. She is a wall that breaks the spirit of flashy young players. She is currently ranked world number 6, a fixture in the top 10, and a player who rarely loses to anyone ranked below her. The narrative going in was simple. The unstoppable force, Eala's momentum and crowd energy, versus the immovable object, Pegula's consistency. The atmosphere, the crowd frenzy. Before a single ball was hit, the story was a crowd. We have to talk about this frenzy mentioned in the headlines. Tennis is usually a polite sport. Golf claps. Quiet, please. Thank you. Not this time. The Filipino community turned out in droves. We are talking about thousands of fans, decked out in blue, red, yellow, and white. The queues to get into the stadium began hours before the match. Reports from the ground stated that security had to manage overflow areas because the designated seating was simply not enough. This is the Eala effect. It's reminiscent of when Manny Pacquiao fights, or when Li Na played in China. It's a nation projecting its hopes and dreams onto one athlete. For Pegula, an American playing on American soil, it must have been a surreal experience to feel like the away player. Every time Eala won a point, the roar was deafening. Every time Pegula missed, there was a palpable energy shift. This kind of atmosphere does two things. It either crushes a young player under the weight of expectation, or it gives him wings. For Eala, it was jet fuel. The match breakdown, set 1, the opportunity, and the heartbreak. Let's get into the tennis. The match began, and immediately, the tactical contrast was fascinating. Pegula likes rhythm. She likes to stand on the baseline and redirect pace. Eala, being a lefty, brings a different geometry to the court. Her cross-court forehand into Pegula's backhand is the key pattern. In the first set, Eala came out firing. She was not intimidated. She was taking the ball early, robbing Pegula of time. Eala raced to a 5-2 lead. Let me repeat that. A teenager, in her first major semifinal atmosphere against the world number 6, was up 5-2. The crowd was delirious. They could smell the upset. Eala was painting the lines, using her lefty spin to pull Pegula wide, and then finishing points with drive volleys and fearless down-the-line winners. But this is where experience comes in. This is where the gap between top 100 potential and top 10 reality usually reveals itself. Serving for the set at 5-3. The nerves kicked in. The arm got a little heavy. The feet got a little slower. Pegula, sensing the blood in the water, locked down. She stopped missing. She forced Eala to hit one more ball, then one more, then one more. Eala committed back-to-back double faults at the most crucial moment. You could feel the air being sucked out of the stadium. The 5-2 lead evaporated. Pegula broke back. The set went to a tiebreak. In the tiebreak, Pegula was a machine. She didn't do anything spectacular. She just didn't miss. She won the tiebreak 7-3. Most young players would have folded right there. To be up 5-2, to have set points, and to lose the first set against a player like Pegula, that is usually a death sentence. The psychological damage is usually too great. The crowd quieted down. The experts in the commentary booth were already writing the obituary for the match. Great effort by the kid, but Pegula will roll through the second set now. The match breakdown. Set 2, the resurrection. And for a moment, it looked like they were right. The second set began and Eala looked deflated. Pegula broke early. She went up 3-1. It was clinical. It was efficient. It was over. Or so we thought. This is the moment that defines champions. This is the moment where Alexandra Eala proved she isn't just a good hitter, but a warrior. At 1-3 down, staring at the exit door, Eala tweaked her ankle. She took a medical timeout. She was taped up. She was limping slightly. The odds were stacked against her. Set down, breakdown, injured, playing a top 10 opponent. But when play resumed, something shifted. Eala stopped thinking and started swinging. She channeled the crowd's energy. She started hitting her forehand with a ferocity we hadn't seen since the first few games. She broke back. The crowd erupted. The noise level spiked again. The frenzy returned. Eala didn't just stabilize. She took over. She started using the drop shot. She started coming to the net. She turned the match into a dogfight. Pegula, who thought she had the match on her racket, suddenly found herself on the defensive, sprinting side to side. At 5-5, Eala played a game of absolute brilliance, breaking Pegula's serve with a laser-like backhand winner down the line. She served for set at 6-5. This time, there were no double faults. There were no nerves. She closed it out 7-5. One set all. The stadium was shaking. The broadcast directors cut to shots of fans crying in the stands. This was pure drama. The match breakdown. Set 3, the reality check. We went to a decider. A third set for a spot in the final. Both players were physically running on fumes. The humidity was high. The rallies were punishing. 15, 20, 25 shots. They stayed neck and neck until 3-3. Neither player gave an inch. It was high-quality, high-octane tennis. But here's the cruel reality of professional sports. Conditioning and experience over 3 hours are the ultimate separators. Pegula, a veteran who plays deep into the second week of slams regularly, had just a little bit more in the tank. Eala's intensity dropped by maybe 5%. Her balls landed a few inches shorter. Her legs were a split second slower, pushing off to the backhand side. Pegula recognized it instantly. She stepped in. She started taking the ball on the rise again. She broke for 5-3. Serving for the match, Pegula didn't falter. She closed it out 6-3 in the third. The final score, 7-6, 5-7, 6-3. A loss for Eala? Technically, yes. But in every way that matters to the trajectory of a career, this was a massive victory. The confession, decoding Pegula's comments. Now, let's get to the core of the news title. Jessica Pegula confessed. What did she confess? The post-match interview was revealing. Usually, players give generic answers. She played well, I'm happy to get through. Pegula was different. She was visibly exhausted. She leaned on the net. She wrote, I'm tired, on the camera lens. A moment of viral honesty. In her interview, she said, she's really good tennis player. Goes for her shots, takes the ball early, rips. Being a lefty, so it's tricky. Competes really well. She went on to say, I don't really think she needs me to tell her that she's a great player, that we're not going to see enough of her. But we definitely are, and she proved that tonight. That was really tough. Let's parse this. Goes for her shots, takes the ball early. Pegula is acknowledging that Eala plays a modern, aggressive game. She isn't a pusher. She isn't waiting for errors. She is a proactive player. This is a hallmark of a future top 10 player. Being a lefty is tricky. This is a huge tactical endorsement. The lefty advantage in women's tennis is significant. Think Kvitova, Kerber, Navratilova. Pegula struggled with the spin, and she admitted it. We're definitely going to see more of her. This is a seal of approval. When a top 6 player says this, it's a warning to the rest of the tour. It means, I barely survived this, and you guys better watch out. Pegula's confession was essentially an acknowledgement that she had been pushed to her absolute limit by a teenager. It validates Eala's level not as a fluke, but as a sustainable threat. The crowd frenzy phenomenon, a new era? We also need to analyze the crowd dynamic deeper. Even Novak Djokovic weighed in on this phenomenon later at the Australian Open, calling Eala's ability to draw crowds a good problem to have. When the greatest player of all time and a top female star are both discussing your fan base, you have transcended the sport. The frenzy is significant because tennis is a business. Tournament directors want ticket sellers. They want engagement. They want passion. Alex Eala brings a built-in market of millions of passionate Filipino fans. This match proved that Eala is a prime-time player. She isn't someone you hide on court 14. She is someone you put on center court, not just because of her tennis, but because she electrifies the building. The WTA desperately needs stars who move the needle. Alex Eala is proving to be exactly that. The scenes of fans queuing for hours, the chanting, the flags. This creates an atmosphere that television networks love. It creates drama. So, while Eala lost a match to Pegula, she won the war for attention, respect, and marketability. As we wrap up this deep dive, we have to look at the bigger picture. What does this match mean for the future of women's tennis? First, for Alexandra Eala, this is the launch pad. We have seen many juniors win Grand Slam titles, which she has, and then struggle to transition to the pros. The gap is physical and mental. This match against Pegula was the proof of concept. It showed that physically, she can hang with the fittest players on tour for 3 hours. It showed that mentally, she can recover from a choke and an injury in the same match. It showed that tactically, her lefty game troubles the world's best. She didn't just play a top 10 player. She dictated terms to a top 10 player for large swathes of the match. The ranking points from this run will vault her up the standings. She will no longer be a wild card dependent on invitations. She will be a direct entrant. She will be a seed in smaller tournaments. This changes her entire schedule and career trajectory. Second, for Asian tennis, this is monumental. Since the retirement of Li Na and the aging of other stars, there's been a search for the next global Asian superstar. Osaka represents Japan and has global appeal, but Eala represents a region, Southeast Asia, that is hungry for representation. The Philippines has a rich sporting history, but a singles tennis champion on the global stage is new territory. Eala carries that flag with a grace and maturity beyond her years. And finally, for the WTA Tour. The tour thrives on rivalries and new blood. The big three of Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Rybakina need challengers. They need disruptors. Eala, with her lefty flair and massive fan base, is a perfect disruptor. Jessica Pegula's confession was the truth. We are definitely going to see more of her. We are not just seeing a player rising through the ranks. We are witnessing the evolution of a star. The loss to Pegula will sting. It will hurt to be so close to the final. But the scar tissue from this match will form the armor for the future. The next time Eala is up 5-2 in a first set against a top 10 player, she will remember this moment. The next time she is in a third set grinder, she will remember fatigue she felt today and work harder in the gym. The crowd frenzy we saw is not a one-off event. It is the new normal. Every tournament Eala plays from now on will have that electric atmosphere. Every opponent will know they are not just playing a girl across the net. They are playing a nation in the stands. Alex Eala has arrived. The shock is over. Now, the Real journey begins. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. I know we covered a lot of ground, but a match of this magnitude deserves nothing less. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown, if you want more analysis that goes beyond just the highlights and the scores, please make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into the world of tennis. Now, I have a question for you. Based on what we saw in this match, do you think Alex Eala will crack the top 20 by the end of this year? Or does she still need more time to mature physically? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Until next time, keep watching the ball, and I'll see you on the next one.